Welcome back to Universe X, and today I would actually like to go over a little bit of spice because right now a lot of people have been asking, what to do when playing Dark Broly, what to prioritize, all these things, and I would like to actually give it to them, I've been playing the deck since release, a little bit before that, and I've been falling in love with it, and I'm actually excited to see where the deck goes as new cards get released, as the meta shapes up. So, if you can't tell by the title, the deck I'm talking about is actually Dark Broly. So this is not going to be like an intro to Dark Broly. I already have an intro to Dark Broly where I kind of misinterpreted the deck. I also have my deck list from my case Tourney, and I'll have that in the comment or in the description. And this one's going to be more of an in-depth, like if you want to take it a little bit further, what I found from my testing and so forth. So right before we get into it, if you like the content, think about hitting that subscribe button, hit that notification button, that like button. Let me know in the comments how you feel about this, because I'm just trying to grow the channel. Coming up this week, we have another match that we're going to do with, of course, different matchups. They're going to have other videos, an interview. I'm trying to get that in there. It was a little backed up last week. So we're going to keep the content rolling. So all you got to do is tune in and watch. So that being said, Dark Broly and Paragus. Now, looking on the front of this guy, he's got a couple effects. Once per turn, you can take up to 1 life, and then you look at the top, up to the top 5 cards of your deck. You can take any 30k black battle cards amongst them and put them in the graveyard, up to 3. So the thing to note about this is, since it's worded the way it is, it's much like that 1-drop Trunks from, I think, set 3, I want to say, where you don't have to pick up all 5. You can pick up 1, check it, 2, check it, 3. And if you have 3 drops, or all the 30Ks, the first 3 were 30Ks, you can just put them in the graveyard and cease to continue your effect. Now, this is personal preference. Some people like looking at all 5 and stacking at the bottom. Some people like only looking up to where they need to look so they don't have to put non-30K pieces at the bottom. This is me. I'm the latter. But it is up to you. If you want to stack your draws and just shuffle when you need to with Toa or the Dragon Ball, so be it. When he swings, he's going to draw a card. And so that means that this leader will naturally try to put up to 3 black battle cards in your grave, but he will also draw you 1 from your life and 1 from your deck. So he is a leader that actually pluses you pretty hard. Then, when he awakens at 4 life or less, you draw 2 and flip him over. On this side, he loses his draw and swing ability. However, what he will gain is the ability to put up to 3 black battle cards with 30k power into from your work to your drop, and then he'll draw 1 card. So he doesn't have to swing to draw, which is actually very important. Anybody who's been playing this game for a while knows that the ability to get your effects off without having to turn your card sideways is huge. If you swing once and get dormanted, you have to choose between swinging, with a 30k on your board or with this guy to get his draw, if he had a swing on draw effect. But because he has an activate main, you don't have to throw him into that situation. You don't have to open yourself up to counter attacks for him to draw. His other effect is actually the very most unique part about this card. All the 30Ks that came out with this deck have 0 combo cost, because a lot of them are 1-drops. And they want to also make sure that you can't swing with them, so they're baked into their effects. But even the 30k 6-drops don't have combo costs. It's just a great balancing of the deck. They had to make sure that there was a reason that this deck would have some sort of, lack of combo power. So in exchange for that, this guy is able to activate battle, send a 30k black battle card from your hand or field to the drop zone, and then gain plus 5,000 battle power. So this is how he defends himself. Now, it's only going to work on your leader. So if you're in somebody else's battle and you start popping off your 30Ks, it's only going to boost him. So you need to be wary of that. But even so, it's still a utility that you end up using regardless. So that's pretty cool. Now, past that, we're going to talk about some of the cards, okay? The first thing I'm going to do is talk about the bombs in question, your 6-drop Broly's. First, we got the blocker, and this is the kind of most, I'm not gonna say useless of them, but he's the one that you kind of want to prioritize least. Like if you're facing SS4 Vegeta, sure, put this guy on board so that they have vanilla leader. But for the format, Most of this format, between the Gotenkses and the cards that, you know, blue can play, and even against the mirror, this guy will get removed before he gets his chance to block. Like, if he gets a chance to block, they really didn't care about it. Now that being said, yes, he's kind of a lightning rod. Like, when Gotenks wants to go in, they will just pop this off with their Reaper and then start swinging. But chances are, if they start off the turn by blowing up a blocker, they might not intend for you to live for the end of that turn. So take that with a grain of salt. Most of the time, this guy's just a 30k swinger, and every now and then he's a good blocker. But a lot of decks have baked in control when it comes to the board, and singular destruction is not uncommon. Next one. My honest opinion, best Broly in the deck. This guy, when he's played, he's actually going to be able to have your opponent warp one from their hand, and you choose one to warp from their grave. This is actually a really great card that works in many situations. If your opponent puts an ape down in the grave and doesn't warp at the same turn, which they shouldn't, especially after playing against this deck and testing, this guy just puts the ape out of the grave. This guy also robs your opponents of their fusion fodder that they use for the Gotenkses, so that you can kill their Reaper safely without them recurring all the cards. He's just great. He can keep your opponent off of sparking. He can start hampering your opponent's ability to play correctly in the mirror. He's an excellent card. And then even more so, he has so many more applications that are just simple but so effective. When you're going first, the whole point of going second for your opponent is that they get an extra card and they get to use their leader effect. Well, most leaders swing and get cards. So they get to generally net 2 extra cards a turn at minimum. Sometimes 3, because sometimes the swing is attached to another gain and card advantage. Now, this guy helps that bleeding. You know, when you play this guy on turn 1 via Broly in the ball, and you just take your opponent down from 6 cards in hand to 5 cards in hand, they drop to 6, meaning that they essentially had the same start you did, except they're 1 energy behind, which is a huge factor, even though it's so simple. And chances are people mulligan to keep the best hands possible. So when you have to force them to choose one of the 6 cards they decided to keep, it can be detrimental. Now, this guy is really good going first, but he might even be more savage going second. Think about this. Your opponent plays their energy going first, going down to 5 cards in hand. Then they play a card, going down to, 4 cards in hand. That card may get them another card. You know, in the case of Gotenks, they're gonna drop the guy in the graveyard to play the Faultless Youth, bounce the Faultless Youth to hand, get cards. But at the same time, playing this on turn 2 gets rid of that Goten or Trunks that they put in grave and forces them to remove a card from hand. Huge pickup. And against other decks that aren't going as fast, you turn their 4-card hand into a 3-card hand going into their next turn. This guy is by far the best Dark Broly, and I think he should have been the SR based off playability. Then you got this guy. I'm going to talk about him a little less. He warps something from board. You guys already know it's cool that he warps anything. He doesn't ignore barrier though, and that could be a little detrimental, but he's able to just warp anything off of board that doesn't have barrier, and that's pretty cool. Now, a card that a lot of people don't seem to know how to use correctly, or at least have questions about, is Dark Aura Deluge. Now, this card is actually one of the best cards in the deck, and I'll explain that, of course, because if I didn't, what would be the point of the video? Because of this leader's ability to activate battle, you still need to swing. And it's just like when back in set 1 and set 2, when you knew your opponent was holding like 2-3 Sensus and they were trying to get a free new turn by using all the Sensus in battle with Soul Striker. If you could Whis them 3 times in a row, oops, they didn't get to swing, so they can't use that. This deck is the same way. There are turns where you could have all 3, like, because of the way this deck works and only being able to summon the 6-drop Broly's once per turn, a lot of your power plays come from having the Broly's on field from last turn, swinging with all of them, then activate battling, getting them off the field, then resummoning them for their effects and another swing. You can swing anywhere from 4 to like 6 different 30Ks that turn, swing with 30K, swing with 30K, swing with 30K, swing with a leader, activate battle on all 3 of your 30Ks. He's a 30K now. Bring one back, swing in, that's the 30K. That's 5 swings already. Now, the issue here is with cards like Dormant in the format. it can get a little hairy. You know, your opponent dormants you, and then after they dormant you, they discard a card, and your 30k goes through. Cool, but you still have other 30ks on the field, and you're not ready to sack. You can't sack the, you know, it's just, don't do it. Now you can still sack them if you feel like it's the play, but you also could swing with your leader, and they could shocking deathball you. You don't get to activate battle on your leader to pump them, so you've lost a fair amount of attack, and you don't have any attacks for the turn. Well, Dark Aura Deluge's effect says that you can send a 30k black battle card from your grave up to, oh yeah, you can send one from your field to your drop zone. Then you can take up to one from your drop zone to your hand. You don't even have to take it. You can just use it to the amount of times that I have been dormanted and then negated, and then been able to be like, okay, 1 energy, pop this guy, pick up an Overwhelm, pick up a TP Mass Sand, pick up literally anything I want, and then I'll remove 6 and play this guy again, drop a card, I'll warp a card from your grave. This card allows you to freely manipulate your field and your grave for the setup that you want without attacking. So it is a valuable piece to your toolkit. It's not just recursion, it's a way to get around some of the most powerful tools in the meta, such as Dormant, such as Violent Rays, and you can't overstate that. Also, when you start revealing things that you don't want, you know, you can use this thing to bring back your Overwhelms if they're 30k. You can use this thing to bring back your Fu if the game goes that long and you just have had it chill in the graveyard the entire time. This card is a toolbox on its own and a utility tool to help you get around pesky plays that your opponent may be using. Here's another card that I don't see a lot of people hyping up. I was hyping the crap out of it when I first spoiled it. SS Bardock the Tenacious. This card is Black's Nimbus. He's Overwhelm 6 for 1 black. Once he's played, next turn your opponent can't swing with more than 1 battle card. Okay, some people have this on the side. I don't necessarily agree with it. When you look at the meta, there's a lot of Gotenks, and Gotenks has double strike in the 5-drop. Gotenks has dual attack in the Reaper. Gotenks has, you know, quad strike. And so, you look at Blue goes wide now because of Obuni and some of the other cards. You know, you have Broly, which goes up the swap chain and swings multiple times. Red Broly, at least. You have Majin Vegeta that swings a gajillion times. This card is too good. Like, the ability, like, if you guys look at my game 1, no, I think it's my game 3 against Justin's Gotenks, I won that last game because I played this guy towards the end of my turn and was just like, okay, I had the combo power to stop a leader attack and a unison attack, and then I had the negate for a battle card, and this just locked the game. It's just too good against the meta right now. Everybody's attacking. We have a lot of decks that attack in quantity, not quality right now, and this card is going to shine anytime you have that. So if you're not playing this, I don't know why. The next one, now, granted, I didn't use it all of the case tournament, but this is still an ace in the hole to have. When your opponent is sitting here like looking at you with the ability to swing with Cell Xeno, and they don't think you can do anything, this is great. When your blue player is sitting here with the, you know, counter in hand, and they're swinging for game, and you think that that's going to be game because, you know, they have the counter, they're gonna put the ape down when you try to counter. No, just play this guy and take 1 damage instead of 3. This card is invaluable to have in your back pocket. You may never use it, but the moment you need to pull it out, juicy. And if you guys don't know what that effect I was talking about is, activate battle, black. If your leader card is black and you have, you can discard this card from your hand. Place 1 card from your life to your drop area, and your leader card doesn't take damage to the battle. So he'll turn anything above a single strike into just a single strike crit. Good stuffs. The next cards I want to talk about, we got Max Power Kamehameha. Everybody's using this. You should. It's a very good card. It's a removal and a negate in the same card. And more importantly, in this deck, because of the way your deck works, the extra cards you play, the way you mill, this is one of the few decks that consistently can play it as a negate and then use its additional effect to warp 4 cards to bring it back to your hand. And next turn, it's going to be removal. Now, most of the decks in the format will cheat. Gotenks will put out 6 drops. Broly will cheat out the swap. Dark Broly will cheat out with remove effects. Like every deck is doing it. So why not have a card that just straight up says point and kill if you cheated the card out, which most decks do. Very, very nice. Then you got Majin Buu's extermination attack. These cards have all been doing pretty well for the most part at some point during the format, but this is really, really good for this deck. So plus 15 to a card that's going to save your leader some combo from your hand. You can also mill up to 4. You don't have to, but you could. And if you're in a spot where you know next turn you're going to pop off, it doesn't really matter what you put in the graveyard as long as it's black battle cards. So this, you just crank it up to 4, protect your asset, your leader most likely, and then remove something from your opponent's grave, which if they're Gotenks is going to be a card they could get back with Reaper. So the next turn when you pop off, they don't get anything. This card is amazing, and you almost always want to see it on turn 2 to make sure you pad your graveyard enough to start going off. My honorable mention isn't a must-have, but I love the card so much. You got Bardock. He is a wonderful, wonderful card, and he just, to me at least, he does a lot. 3 is a hefty cost to pay, but in the games that you start resolving him and you get up to the energy, because you know how Broly is if you play it, there's a lot of turns where you just have your energy up for defense. You're not really even using it. You're operating off of Grave and Overwhelm. So this guy is actually really cool because he comes down and lets you choose 2 cards from your opponent's hand to rip. Now, doing that, if you've been pressuring your opponent for most of the game, you may not have the most cards in hand. You know, you've been looping the 6-drop Broly Ravager and taking cards. This guy's going to help you equalize that. And that's going to be kind of awesome. So yeah, it's pretty cool to have him like that. He's a dual attack 30k, and the best part is, since he is a 30k, often I don't even end up using his other attack sometimes. Like, you can swing with him twice and then sack him when you swing with your leader. Or if you don't want to deal too much damage, you can play him, rip 2 cards from your hand, swing, and see if you can bait out of the gate, you know, do things like that. But on the second swing, you could activate battle and just pop himself. Like, you could pop him. Like, this guy doesn't have to go to your overwhelm because he has dual attack. You can get a 30k swing off and then just do it again and just sack him off so that you can pad your grave. Past that, this deck is mad sequencing, not just misplacing one black battle card while you're going through your plays can actually ruin your game. It's a lot of numbers because you have to see, like, on average, okay, I'm going to make this play. I'm going to use my leader effect. I'm going to do this. I have this many cards in my hand in the combo. The numbers will go up and down and up and down, but if you do it right, you could up your swings to 6 swings per turn because of how you sequenced and the numbers you added up. So I will have more games with this deck in the future on camera so you guys can see more of the mythology, but for now, you can always look at the 3 games between Green Gotenks and this Broly deck. So I hope you guys like the content. I hope you Dark Broly players like this. I know it was a longer video, but I just want to kind of go into the nuances of certain cards. Like I said, subscribe if you like the content, leave a like if you like the content, and I will see you in the next video. Later.